Oh shit. Oh wow, look at the riot going on in my chat right now. What's up everybody? Good to see every single motherfucking one of you here tonight. Part 13. We got a cool frog. Where that button at? Where the button go? The button. That one. Cool frog raid. We're only on law 13. Yeah. I planned 5 laws this week, so we're gonna get through this shit, I promise. But let me say what's up, Paul. What's up, Key? We got Frog in the house. Squabs. Uh, Shiloh Mania. Oh, Biju's here. Oh, hi, Div. Okay, so, everybody's already here. Usually I have to hang out, get started. I almost feel like I don't have to this time, which is almost good because I'm not sure how long this one's gonna go for. Why did I say what? So surprised. Uh, well, I mean, it's not very often I'm 3 minutes in and everybody's here, so I'm not totally sure what that actually is supposed to be. Juju, what the hell is that emoji? So I know it for future reference. Ah, we have been waiting. It's cool. Ninja brought punch and pie. Take your time. I mean, I kind of want to get into this one. I'm super excited about Law 13. For those of you who don't know, the title track of this week's, well, today's episode isn't not this week's episode, but Law 13 is when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Oh, pawn, bread. I'm with it. Unbreaded though, for sure. I am not entirely sure if this is a troll based on a stream I was at earlier, or if this is actually like legitimate bullshit, but I can turn it down if it's a problematic issue, but don't wink at me like that. I'll punch you in your other eye, and then you won't be able to see out of either. One do the wink. I'm not even playing with you. So yeah. uh, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. So shit. Well, where were we? Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. What? I mean, I want to, like, I usually like to ask, like, what even does that mean to you? Because I am of a mind that you can get a lot farther making a request when you have something to offer in return. it's kind of hard to get anything out of someone if all you have is goodwill, thoughts and prayers, X to doubt. It's kind of problematic, in my opinion. Anyone got an opinion on why you would appeal to someone's self-interest? Why asking somebody for help using the appeal of how it would help them would be more beneficial than other approaches? Nobody? Nobody. Alright, well, I guess we need to start exploring then, since nobody has an opinion on this yet. Judgment. If you need to turn to an ally for help, do not bother to remind him of your past assistance and good deeds. He will find a way to ignore you. Instead, uncover something in your request or in your alliance with him that will benefit him, and emphasize it of out of all proportion. He will respond enthusiastically when he sees something to be gained for himself. So it's really all about the self-interest. Like, I feel like you are more likely to get the assistance if you offer assistance in return. I mean, yeah, appealing to someone's self-interest. You can appeal to their charitable side, but it will be a one-time ask. I mean, it might not even be a one-time ask. It might just be like a smaller ask. It'll be very limited though. And in some cases, it might be the way, but like usually if you need something from me, a lot of times the answer you're going to get out of people is what's in it for me. Because most people aren't charities. Most people are very self-interested, very self-motivated. It's kind of hard to find people with a generous nature. When you do find people with a generous nature, it is in your best interest not to exploit that. Sometimes people want you to appeal to their mercy or gratitude to make them look better. I mean, that is a thing. That is a thing. Like, people do love to virtue signal, but usually they would rather do so when it doesn't cost them. So if you actually need someone's actual help, you're usually going to need to have something to offer. Has so been my experience. I'm generous with my time, so well, I'm glad you're spending your time here fucking around with me in this particular chapter of the 48 Laws of Power, because this one is like particularly, it's poignant to me, I think is the word I'm looking for. Transgression of the law. In the early 14th century, a young man named Castruccio Castrasani rose from the rank of common soldier to become lord of the great city of Lucca, Italy. One of the most powerful families in the city, the Poggios, had been instrumental in his climb, which succeeded through treachery and bloodshed. But after he came to power, they came to feel he had forgotten them. His ambition outweighed any gratitude he felt. In okay. So before we go any further, like this powerful family pushes this common soldier up through the ranks, and the moment he gets to power, he immediately forgets to dance with the ones who brung him. Uh, I'm no politician, but there's a reason why politicians have benefactors. They have constituents and benefactors. Don't get it twisted, they always have. Even then, even so today. Throughout history, it was mostly popular for kings and priests to simply say, "Help me out, lest God smite thee with smiting stuff." I mean, it's really easy when you've got God to threaten people with. You don't have to threaten them with guns or any of that. True, Charlemagne. I try to help others when because I like to see people build and grow, and I would hope that would be reciprocated when needed. I mean, more so than even reciprocated. Uh, if you've ever seen Pay It Forward or you understand the concept of like, hey, treat others the way you would want to be treated, like then you really get to, hey, maybe you can't help me out, but help someone else out when you can if you make it because I helped you. That'd be dope. Smiting is cool, but smiting needs to be definitely corralled into smiteable scenarios. I know what this is like. You taking notes? I might need your help at some point in time. But I mean, yeah, I mean, don't you hate it when some people make you famous and then you just become ungrateful as shit to all the efforts they gave to get you there? Especially if you start outshining them, that makes it even worse. Because then it's like, oh, you've gotten to a powerful position. Now you're more powerful, popular, famous, etc., than I am. Uh, Remember when I helped you out? And no, oh yeah, that's cool. Ah, in 1325, while Castruccio was away fighting Luca's main rival Florence, the Poggios conspired with other noble families in the city to rid themselves of this troublesome and ambitious prince. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get Castruccio out while he's out of town. We're gonna conspire behind his back, etc., etc. Anywho, we got an insert here, so I do like all the inserts for this chapter. So this one is the peasant and the apple tree. A peasant had in his garden an apple tree, which bore no fruit, but only served as a perch for the sparrows and grasshoppers. He resolved to cut it down, and, taking his axe in hand, made a bold stroke at its roots. The grasshoppers and sparrows entreated him not to cut down the tree that sheltered them, but to spare it, and they would sing to him and lighten his labors. He paid no attention to their request, but gave the tree a second and third blow with his axe, When he reached the hollow of the tree, he found a hive full of honey. Having tasted the honeycomb, he threw down his axe and, looking on the tree as sacred, took great care of it. Self-interest alone moved some men. Aesop's Fables, and I read that one because it's funny how everyone asked him politely, "Please don't cut down our trees. This is our home." But once he found the honeycomb, he was like, "On second thought, I'm just gonna leave this tree be." I know it's a fable, and animals like grasshoppers and sparrows can't talk to a guy with an axe, but if they could, I feel like this still would have gone very much the same way. Because fuck you, woodland creatures in this useless tree. Because that's why. Because that's how people be. Just that's a humanity reference for you. If you don't have anything to offer me except for, uh, I beg you, please, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just not gonna work out good at all for anyone. But that's why I like fables like that, because they teach you a valuable lesson, which is, I don't know, don't be sucker dependent. Find somewhere else to live. Always be adaptable. Something along that lines. Anyway, we're gonna get back to the story of this guy with way too much name, Castruccio. Mounting an insurrection, the plotters attacked and murdered the governor. Because, mind you, like when we left him before we went to the fable, he was out of town and they were plotting against him. Anywho, mounting an insurrection, the plotters attacked and murdered the governor whom Castruccio left behind to rule the city. Oh, oof. That's not good. Riots broke out, and the Castruccio supporters and the Poggio supporters were poised to do battle. At the height of the tension, however, Stefano di Poggio, the oldest member of the family, intervened and made both sides lay down their arms. A peaceful man, Stefano had not taken part in the conspiracy. He had told his family it would end in a useless bloodbath. Now he insisted he should intercede on the family's behalf and persuade Castruccio to listen to their complaints and satisfy their demands. Stefano was the oldest and wisest member of the clan, and his family agreed to put their trust in his diplomacy rather than in their weapons. Okay, so my man's still out of town. It sounds like Castruccio out of town, and we got some fighting going on because they murdered the governor that my man put in charge. That that seems like an act of war, treachery, betrayal, and then somebody who wasn't part of that conspiracy jumps in, turns off the violence, and everybody agrees to trust this guy. Seems reasonable. Like that's a very good faith effort, right? Like that ought to curry you very good favor, right? Mm, almighty my. Pardon me, y'all. Cheers. I'm stalling. My bad, but yeah, cheers. Happy 420, y'all. Ugh. Ugh. Speak softly and carry a big stick. It commands respect. It commands respect. Respect my authority. Anywho, we're gonna get back to what happens here. When news of the rebellion reached Castruccio, he hurried back to Lucca. By the time he arrived, however, the fighting had ceased. Through Stefano's agency, the fighting had ceased through Stefano's agency, and he was surprised by the city's calm and peace. Stefano di Poggio had imagined that Castruccio would be grateful to him for his part in quelling the rebellion, so he paid the prince a visit. He explained how he had brought peace, then begged for Castruccio's mercy. He said that the rebels in his family were young and impetuous, hungry for power yet inexperienced. He recalled his family's past generosity to Castruccio. They brought him to power. For all these reasons, he said, the great prince should pardon the Poggios and listen to their complaints. This, he said, was the only just thing to do. Because, I mean, like, we're such good friends and all. And I did this thing to help you out. Since the family had willingly laid down their arms and had always supported him. I mean, this family that had always supported him and willingly laid down their arms is also the same family that picked up arms against you, by the way, just in case you was wondering. So, I don't, I mean, from my opinion, that ain't looking good. Castruccio listened patiently. He seemed not the slightest bit angry or resentful. Instead, he told Stefano to rest assured that justice would prevail, and he asked him to bring his entire family to the palace to talk over their grievances and come to an agreement. As they took leave of one another, Castruccio said he thanked God for the chance he had been given to show his clemency and kindness. That evening the entire Poggio family came to the palace. Castruccio immediately had them imprisoned, and a few days later all were executed, including Stefano. I mean, who didn't see that coming? Yeah, the Fajolios. They, I mean, you picked up arms against me while I was out of town. You killed my governor, and you tried to foment a rebellion. And I mean, the innocent one among you may have stopped it, but I can't prove you didn't have any part in it. I'm fairly certain that I gotta get rid of all of you for this nonsense. Hi, Suze. Hi. I'm not sure what this is because I can't see the emojis good on YouTube. Ooh. I mean, I disagree. Mm. Where we at? Anyone have any questions? Stop by to throw up a light. Nobody? Because he did kill the whole family after you. I feel like, I mean, I feel like it was justified given the circumstances. You definitely don't want uh, rebellion fomenting families around. And I don't think, in that regard, when you don't have enough evidence to support it, you can give quarter to any member of them, especially when you're going to execute all the rest of them. Because even if they were looking to you for favor, execute their whole family and see how quickly they're no longer looking favorably upon you at all whatsoever. Seems problematic. Hmm. But anywho, let's get at this interpretation. Stefano di Poggio is the embodiment of all those who believe that the justice and nobility of their cause will prevail, which means he is an idealistic fool. Certainly, appeals to justice and gratitude have occasionally succeeded in the past, but more often than not they have had dire consequences, especially in dealings with the Castruccios of the world. Because, well, why should I care? Eh, what does that got to do with me? I have all the power, you have none. What benefit do you bring to me when you ask me these silly questions? Doesn't doesn't make any sense. Stefano knew that the prince had risen to power through treachery and ruthlessness, so like appealing to his mercy probably a terrible idea. This was a man, after all, who had put a close and devoted friend to death. When Castruccio was told that it had been a terrible wrong to kill such an old friend, he replied that he had executed not an old friend, but a new enemy. A man like Castruccio knows only force and self-interest. When the rebellion began, to end it and place oneself at his mercy was the most dangerous possible move. Even once Stefano di Poggio had made that fatal mistake, however, he still had options. He could have offered money to Castruccio, could have made promises for the future, could have pointed out what the Poggios could still contribute to Castruccio's power. Their influence with the most influential families of Rome, for example, and the great marriage they could have brokered. Or marriage is, I mean, like, extend your power all the way through. So many ways you could have played this, but you chose to take the route of, but we're homies, right? Uh, no. Your whole family just fomented a rebellion against me. We're not homies. We're not cool. Instead, Stefano brought up the past and debts that carried no obligation. Not only is a man not obliged to be grateful, gratitude is often a terrible burden that he gladly discards. And in this case, Castruccio rid himself of his obligations to the Poggios by eliminating the Poggios. Bye, bitch. Adios, Poggios. Oh, hi, Cheryl. Long time no see. Good to see you. Anyway, we just eliminated the Poggios. Oh, yeah, because I don't actually owe you nothing. Yeah, you did this good deed for me, but we didn't have an agreement or anything. There's no contract here at all. So what have you done for me lately? Seems problematic. Most men are so thoroughly subjective that nothing really interests them but themselves. They always think of their own case as soon as ever any remark is made, and their whole attention is engrossed and absorbed by the merest chance reference to anything which affects them personally, be it ever so remote. Arthur Schopenhauer. Observance of the law. Okay, so we got through the transgression of the law on on the Poggios and the Castruccios of the world. Man, that's a, asserting too much power, Div. Good evening to everybody. Thank you all for joining, and hit the like button if you haven't, or whatever. However this shit works. uh, Observance of the law. In 433 BC, just before the Peloponnesian War, the island of Corcyra, later called Corfu, and the Greek city-state of Corinth stood on the brink of conflict. Both parties sent ambassadors to Athens to try to win over the Athenians to their side. The stakes were high, since whoever had Athens on his side was sure to win, and whoever won the war would certainly give the defeated side no mercy. Do not give mercy to your defeated sides in war, people. This this is a very old lesson from 433 BC. It's still applicable today. I feel like this would be more interesting if I was doing bong rips. I mean, there's nobody here prohibiting any bong rips, excessive bong rips, all the bong rips you can imagine. Sib does think it's dope. Paul thinks it's dope without dope. I mean, I prefer with dope, but there's a Fed. He's the Fed. What are you gonna do? Damn Feds. Anywho, we're going to war, and we're not giving any mercy. So, if you go to war, don't give any mercy. That's one thing to take away from this. Corcyra spoke first. Its ambassador began by admitting that the island had never helped Athens before, and in fact had allied itself with Athens' enemies. Okay, this argument's not going so good so far. There were no ties of friendship or gratitude between Corcyra and Athens. Yes, the ambassador admitted he had come to Athens now out of fear and concern for Corcyra's safety. So you're not really coming from any position of like goodwill or charitable history. You're not coming with anything other than like your hat in your hand and some bullshit. The only thing he could offer was an alliance of mutual interests. Corcyra had a navy only surpassed in size and strength by Athens' own. Okay, so that's formidable. An alliance between the two states would create a formidable force one that could intimidate the rival state of Sparta, because the Greek city states were at constant war at this period in history, and Sparta was the warrior state. That, unfortunately, was all Coursera had to offer. So we're pretty tough. We could beat you up. I mean, we could beat people up. Maybe not you, but we could beat other people up. You could beat people up too. Maybe not us. Let's hang out and beat everybody up. That's kind of what they're selling here. I'm with it. Let's see what Corinth is saying though. The representative from Corinth then gave a brilliant, passionate speech in sharp contrast to the dry, colorless approach of the Corcyraean. He talked of everything Corinth had done for Athens in the past. Oh, here we go with this shit again. He asked how it would look to Athens' other allies if the city put an agreement with a former enemy over one with a present friend. Oh, we're doing this bullshit. One that had served Athens' interests loyally. Oh, butt kisser extraordinaires. Perhaps those allied would break their agreements with Athens if they saw that their loyalty was not valued. Oh, you're doing the whole blackmail game here. Oh, this is not good, y'all. Just a bad approach for negotiating. He referred to Hellenic law and the need to repay Corinth for all its good deeds. Oh shit. You're breaking the law, y'all. He finally went on to list the many services Corinth had performed for Athens and the importance of showing gratitude to one's friends. I'm not sold. Do you got a second biggest navy though? I'm looking for a second biggest navy or better. After the speech, the Athenians debated the issue in an assembly. On the second round, they voted overwhelmingly to ally with Corcyra and drop Corinth. Uh, I guess they didn't sell them on that whole look at everything we've done for you. Come on, bro. Like, we was cool. We was homies and shit. No. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. This is kind of how I feel about the United States and a certain country that's in the Middle East and surrounded by other countries of an Arabic nation. Like, I feel like we was homies once. I don't know why that ever was a thing. It never should have been a thing. And what have you ever done for us that would make me want to be your homie? No. Sorry, Israel. No offense, but get some allies that you've actually done something for. Just not my fight. I I I shouldn't be paying you to start World War III. I gotta run. Great stream so far, Darth. I'll finish it later. Love all you weirdos. Have a great night, everyone. Later, Paul. Thanks for coming. And it makes sense when it comes to military alliance and being pragmatic to not have an ally around based on previous friendships if it's very inconvenient to your current situation. I know there's a lot of people who value this nonsensical honor and bullshit more so than just pragmatically what's going to preserve the most life and promote the best chance of a situation being beneficial for me and my people. I feel like we give more than we get in general. I mean, in most cases that's true. Depending on who you are. If you're a giving person, you're gonna definitely definitely going to give more than you get. And the value of giving to you is going to have to be greater than what you get in return, or you're not going to be a giving person anymore. But in general, if you have a giving nature, the feeling, or maybe the attention, or like whatever value you get from being a giving person, even if it is just gratitude, it's got to outweigh what you're going to get in return, or you're not going to be a giving person for very long. And I think everybody tends to try to find a balance of like, we give about as much as we get back, or we try to at least seek that middle. But that's a whole other argument entirely. Interpretation. Hold on. Before we go to the interpretation, let me look at the chat. Oh, oh, well, it's really great when it's really easy to be very charitable with other people's money. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'm on YouTube, so I can't say too goddamn much, but man, I should probably move the 48 Laws of Power series over to fucking Rumble and move the rest of the whole channel over there too. Unfortunately, all my peoples is over here on YouTube. But yeah, I was speaking in a very general sense about giving and receiving. I mean, I guess when you have infinite power and infinite money, it's really easy to be infinite generous. Unfortunately, the cheat codes that the people in charge right now think they have, they were patched over like 4 versions ago, and they don't work anymore. And nobody's buying it anymore, you jackass. But anyway, I'm gonna get on with this interpretation. Ah, history has remembered the Athenians nobly, but they were the preeminent realists of classical Greece. With them, all the rhetoric, all the emotional appeals in the world could not match a good pragmatic argument, especially one that added to their power. There you go. That's the key right there. Pragmatic argument that explains what is in it for me. When the Corinthian ambassador did not what the Corinthian ambassador did not realize was that his references to Corinth's past generosity to Athens only irritated the Athenians, subtly asking them to feel guilty and putting them under obligation. The Athenians couldn't care less about past favors and friendly feelings. At the same time, they knew that if their other allies thought them ungrateful for abandoning Corinth, these city-states would still be unlikely to break their ties to Athens, the preeminent power in Greece. So not only did they like not have to feel grateful to you, like basically you helped us out, but we're still the biggest and strongest in. It's like the United States right now. For example, uh, it's like, oh, people don't like the way we're doing business. That's cool, but where are you gonna go? And it turns out there's starting to rise we are starting to create our own competition because we've been entirely too generous as a power. But I mean, that's a whole nother conversation as well. It's kind of, yeah, generosity is a cheat code. Uh, Generosity is especially a cheat code when you have other people's money to be generosity with. Athens ruled its empire by force, and would simply compel any rebellious ally to return to the fold. So we're gonna, yeah, go ahead. We're gonna kick your ass. When people choose between talk about the past and talk about the future, a pragmatic person will always opt for the future and forget the past because you don't live in the past. You live in the now and you're moving into the future. The past is already done, like useless as it is. As the Corsarians realized, it is always best to speak pragmatically to a pragmatic person. And in the end, most people are in fact pragmatic. They will rarely act against their own self interest. Rarely. Mausen. Hola, small Mausen. ¿Cómo estás? We could fix our problems, but many don't want to, so we can't. Well, many people. I mean, the problem with fixing our problems is so many people have such a wide range of vision on what the actual problems are. And with all due respect, they're not wrong about that. I think anytime you have a seat of power that an empire that's too large, there's too many people, and it becomes almost impossible to control. And this sounds it, it becomes impossible to have a peaceful society when you have so much of a division in just opinions and beliefs as it is. So you can't really fix a problem when the underlying cause of the problem is not even addressed. And there's so much to address with like the underlying cause of our problems and fixing them. Because what is good for me might not be good for you. And what's good for you might not be good for like anyone else in this room. It's more complicated than that. That's why politics is kind of such a bitch as it is because it's all trying to play the game of compromise, and unless you're a very shrewd negotiator, your compromises aren't usually going to go good for either party. But if you're a very shrewd negotiator, you might be able to get it to go good for you or figure out a way to make it go good for both, but that's very rare. Are we getting a divorce? Define we. Who's they? You tell me who we is, and I'll tell you if we're getting a divorce or not. But until that point in time, let's get back to this. It has always been a rule that the weak should be subject to the strong. And besides, we consider that we are worthy of our power. Up till the present moment, you, too, used to think that we were. But now, after calculating your own interest, you are beginning to talk in terms of right and wrong. Considerations of this kind have never yet turned people aside from the opportunities of aggrandizement offered by superior strength. Athenian representative to Sparta, quoted in the Peloponnesian War, Thucydides, 465 BC. So yeah, I mean, back when we was a strong alliance, I was 100%. Oh, you and I'm so confused, Charlemagne. Spit it out. Use your words like a big boy clone. Basically, what just this little insert here is saying is, in my opinion, it's saying that it was always us against them until you started to doubt the power of us, and now you want to 100% like switch it up, talk about right and wrong, talk about all this nonsense. What's up, Castro? US and A. US and A. Gotcha. Is US and A getting a divorce? If we're lucky, that's the best thing that's going to happen, in my opinion. And I'm not even going to get into all of that. But there is like a serious decline in the power dynamic of being in the US and A versus being in other parts of the world at this point in time. And I do think there is a significant disconnect between the people of South Oklahoma and the people of like Metro LA, California, the people of like Podunk, Idaho, or Iowa versus the people of like New York City or Chicago. And I think if we embrace the concept of freedom and we let everybody live according to their values, and we stop trying to let people vote themselves other people's power and impose their values on other people, we could probably figure out some sort of workable system. There's a whole lot of context to that, but yeah, I think divorce is probably best case scenario. I'm thinking something a lot more brutally violent than a divorce. Anywho, where was I? Oh yeah, keys to power. In your quest for power, you will constantly find yourself in the position of asking for help from those more powerful than you. This is a key to this whole concept is asking for help from those more powerful than you. There is an art to asking for help, an art that depends on your ability to understand the person you are dealing with and to not confuse your needs with theirs. Let me be clear. There is an art to asking for help, an art that depends on your ability to understand the person you are dealing with and to not confuse your needs with theirs. This is very important. This is extremely important because if you're asking somebody for help who has everything to lose and nothing to gain, you are very much not likely to get any help at all. But if there is a significant gain for them, not you, mind you, like your gain is irrelevant to them, it's much easier to do business with somebody when you have something to offer them. That's just the law of doing business. And most people aren't going to do business with you for nothing. They're not going to do something for you for nothing. There are going to be some people that are charitable. That's not the norm. That's the exception. Exceptions don't disprove rules. Most people never succeed at this. because they are completely trapped in their own wants and desires. They from the assumption that the people they are appealing to have a selfless interest in helping them. There's a word for people like that where I come from. It is called naive. We might even call you a sucker if you're that naive for too long and you don't learn from this. Like, I mean, I guess growing up as a child, you can kind of expect your parents to selflessly help you, and then maybe you don't realize that the real world doesn't work that way, and they never bothered to teach you while they were teaching you that you could be anything. That, oh, by the way, the world is going to try to fuck you every chance it gets, and you're just going to have to fucking roll over and take it or do something about it. You don't actually get away from it unless you live in a cabin in the woods by yourself, in which case the world is still going to try to fuck you every chance it gets because the world doesn't give a fuck about your feelings, about what you're going through. I mean, maybe there's a whole fucking problem here. Maybe there's a lot to be said about this. They talk as if their needs mattered to these people, the people who they're appealing to, who probably couldn't care less. They're probably not. Sometimes they refer to larger issues, a great cause, or grand emotions such as love and gratitude. They go for the big picture when simple everyday realities would have had much more appeal. What they do not realize is that even the most powerful person is locked inside needs of his own, and that if you make no appeal to his self interest, he merely sees you as desperate or, at best, a waste of time. Yeah, at best, a waste of time. Like, just seriously, what are you even fucking doing for me? Just asking me for shit? What are you gonna give me, bro? I mean, I'm doing this live stream. Yeah, did you even hit the like button? Like, I did all this live stream for you, and did you even hit the like button for me? I hope you did. If you didn't, I mean, I guess like all the live stream I did for you before, irrelevant at this point because, but I mean, what if I say I'm not going to do any more live stream unless you hit the like button? Hmm? I guess you just go find something else to do. That's the point. That's why you can't just ask somebody for something unless you have something to offer them. In the 16th century, Portuguese missionaries tried for years to convert the people of Japan to Catholicism, while at the same time Portugal had a monopoly on trade between Japan and Europe. Although the missionaries did have some success, they never got far among the ruling elite. By the beginning of the 17th century, in fact, their proselytizing had completely antagonized the Japanese Emperor Ieyasu. When the Dutch began to arrive in Japan in great numbers, Ieyasu was much relieved. He needed Europeans for their know-how in guns and navigation, and here at last were Europeans who cared nothing for spreading religion. The Dutch wanted only to trade. Ieyasu swiftly moved to evict the Portuguese. From then on, He would only deal with the practical minded Dutch. So yeah, I mean, I'm here to do business. You're here to do a narrative. I have no interest in you doing the narrative, and you trying to do this shit is just fucking annoying the living shit out of me. Why don't you get the fuck out of my business square? Does this sound familiar to anyone else? Presbyterianism, Dutch Calvinism, is huge in Japan to this very day, and one of the larger groups in America too. Probably because the Dutch didn't try to shove their shit down people's throats, Swab. That's probably why they were able to spread their numbers because they weren't trying to convert people actively. They're just like, yeah, we just want to do business. Can we just chill here? It's like, yeah, you can chill here. You can do business. And then, they chill, they hang out, they get to know each other. We ain't so different. We have so much in common. And next thing you know, the interbreeding happens, the spreading happens. And next thing you know, Presbyterianism, which is Dutch Calvinism, according to Squabab, has spread to Japan. And one of the larger groups in America today. I don't know about that. Presbyterianism, really? I don't feel like any of these sects are very large anymore. I feel like they're all like a microcosm of the population. The Dutch ain't silly though. They know what they're doing. They're just trying to do business, and that's how they spread. Like, believe it or not, the Jews who have been nomadic because of being displaced for thousands of years have had to kind of adapt to every culture group around them while at the same time trying to maintain their tribal identity. So shout out to the Jews for still existing and managing to piss off like every great empire throughout history. Anywho, I'm not trying to get myself nuked from YouTube, so I'm not going to say too much more on that. Japan and Holland were vastly different cultures, but each shared a timeless and universal concern: self-interest. Every person you deal with is like another culture. An alien land with a past that has nothing to do with yours. And I mean, you can deal with people who actually do have a past that has everything to do with yours, and they still an alien land. Yet you can bypass the differences between you and him by appealing to his self-interest. Do not be subtle. You have valuable knowledge to share. You will fill his coffers with gold. You will make him live longer and happier. This is a language all of us speak and understand. A key step in the process is to understand the other person's psychology. Is he vain? Is he concerned about his reputation or his social standing? Does he have enemies you could help him vanquish? Is he simply motivated by money and power? I mean, depending on who you're dealing with, all of these answers are going to be vastly different. And it is in the differences in these answers that you find the correct approach, because what works to try to gain power and give benefit to me might not play so well with someone else because they might value different things than I do, different things than you do. So it's very, very dependent on knowing the psychology of who you're dealing with. When the Mongols invaded China in the 12th century, They threatened to obliterate a culture that had thrived for over 2,000 years. Their leader, Genghis Khan, saw nothing in China but a country that lacked pasturing for his horses, and he decided to destroy the place, leveling all its cities, for it would be better to exterminate the Chinese and let the grass grow. That is a quote from Genghis Khan. It was not a soldier, a general, or a king who saved the Chinese from devastation, but a man named Yilu Chusai. A foreigner himself, Chusai had come to appreciate the superiority of Chinese culture. He managed to make himself a trusted advisor to Genghis Khan and persuaded him that he would reap riches out of the place if, instead of destroying it, he simply taxed everyone who lived there. Khan saw the wisdom in this and did as Chutsai advised. When Khan took the city of Kaifeng after a long siege and decided to massacre its inhabitants, as he had in other cities that had resisted him, Chutsai told him that the finest craftsmen and engineers in China had fled to Kaifeng, and it would be better to put them to use. Kaifeng was spared. Never before had Genghis Khan shown such mercy, but then it really wasn't mercy that saved Kaifeng. Chutsai knew Khan well. He was a barbaric peasant who cared nothing for culture, or indeed for anything other than warfare and practical results. Chutsai chose to appeal to the only emotion that would work on such a man: greed. Yep. Because when you're dealing with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Because this guy only has a hammer in his toolbox. So you gotta kind of show him that there's other things you can use here besides Hulk smash. And I think that's what Chu Tsai is doing, is he's teaching out Genghis Khan here that, like, don't destroy everything. You lose a lot when you do that. Just stop, homie. Genghis Khan likes to do other things too besides just destroy everything, but we're not going to talk about that because we're on YouTube. But at least one of you probably has the Genghis Khan gene because it says there's 7 watching, so they say 1 in 7 on the earth. That means at least one of you got it. Self-interest is the lever that will move people. Once you make them see how you can in some way meet their needs or advance their cause, their resistance to your requests for help will magically fall away. At each step on the person's way to acquiring power, you must train yourself to think your way inside the other person's mind, to see their needs and interests, to get rid of the screen of your own feelings that obscure the truth. Master this art, and there will be no limits to what you can accomplish. Image: a cord that binds. The cord of mercy and gratitude is threadbare, and will break at the first shock. Do not throw such a lifeline. The cord of mutual self-interest is woven of many fibers and cannot easily be severed. It will serve you well for years. That's a beautiful image. Always make sure there's something to gain for the other party if you want shit to go well for yourself. Authority. The shortest and best way to make your fortune is to let people see clearly that it is in their interest to promote yours. Jean de la Bruyere. That's French, and I don't speak surrender monkey. So how far have we gotten through this? We got through Genghis Khan. We got through the trade between the Portuguese, the Japanese, and the Dutch. And what I've learned here is it really is about not about what have you done for me lately, but what are you able to do for me tomorrow? Because fuck what you done for me lately. Like, that's not even a thing. So fuck your past loyalties, fuck your recent loyalties. Like, what can I get from you tomorrow is the key takeaway here. Reversal. Some people will see an appeal to their self-interest as ugly and ignoble. Somebody in my chat mentioned something about this. They actually prefer to be able to exercise charity, mercy, and justice, which are their ways of feeling superior to you. There you go. That's those people. When you beg them for help, you emphasize their power and position. It's like appealing to the government. They are strong enough to need nothing from you except the chance to feel superior. This also the government. This is the wine that intoxicates them. They are dying to fund your project, to introduce you to powerful people, provided, of course, that all this is done in public and for a good cause. Usually, the more public, the better. Not everyone, then, can be approached through cynical self-interest. Some people will be put off by it because they don't want to seem to be motivated by such things. They need opportunities to display their good heart. Do we anybody here know anyone like this that wants to get credit for being the one who always gives to everyone? I feel like everybody gotta know somebody like this that always wants to be recognized for all the great shit they do, even though it's all bullshit and they're only doing it for recognition. They're virtue signalers. Do not be shy. Give them that opportunity. It's not as if you are conning them by asking for help. It is really their pleasure to give and to be seen giving. You must distinguish the differences among powerful people and figure out what makes them tick. When they ooze greed, do not appeal to their charity. When they want to look charitable and noble, do not appeal to their greed. As simple as that. There's really nothing more to be said. Anybody have any questions? Like, I kind of thought this one was going to go a little longer, but seems like everybody left, so If nobody has any questions, I'll hang out for a couple of minutes, see if anyone does want to say anything more on the subject. But I've run out of arguments and I'm ready to close this out. But that was Law 13. Always appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude, unless, of course, their mercy and gratitude is their self-interest. In which case, do that. But be discerning. I mean, let's be real. I'm just stalling because in a couple more minutes, it's going to be 20 after. And that's a great time to. Lucky for some number 13. I mean, yeah, I mean, 13's always been a lucky number of mine. Doesn't hurt that I was born on the 13th. I don't know. Yeah, I was stalling, but there's really no point. So, I don't know. Let's just go early, smoke one for the road, and call it a night. Y'all down? Cheers. Yeah. I mean, for stalling purposes' sake, I'm just gonna say this that I plan to do 5 laws this week. This is one. I plan to do one Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I'm gonna leave Thursday night alone because it's the nighttime. It's someone else's nighttime streaming time. Friday night and Saturday night. So if you are one of the regulars who really does enjoy these, 8 p.m. tonight or 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Maybe a little earlier on Friday. Maybe I'll go 7, maybe even 6 o'clock on Saturday because I might go mess around with my man Cool Frog on his open mic stream. So Friday might happen a little earlier, but yeah, 8 p.m. No Thursday. No. Thursday is off. It's a timing conflict. And I don't want the timing conflict because I'd like to be able to be where I want to be on Thursday night. And suffice it to say, it's not that spot is not here. So I mean, I hope to see you all here tomorrow. Same exact bat time, same exact bat channel. We're gonna do law number 14, which is pose as a friend, work as a spy. So that ought to be fun. You are very welcome, Kitty Ninja. Thank you for coming. And yeah, tomorrow night, y'all. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. That ought to be an interesting concept. I will see you all there. And cheers. Later, y'all. Peace.